Good morning. Welcome to episode 23 of the Driller Newscast, special 2022 South Atlantic Drilling Jubilee edition, and it's brought to you by TDH Manufacturing. And we have a special treat for you today. After we get through our safety discussion, Cade with Team TDH will walk us through their hybrid pump hoist that they had on the show floor. And if you're watching the video, you'll be able to see all those great functions and features and see really the innovations that TDH are doing to be able to make your job easier, more efficient, and more profitable. This week, we're gonna have a discussion with Jesse Richardson right on the show floor of the Jubilee. Jesse's with the Water Systems Council, and he is their legal advocate, and he is going to have a discussion with us about all the things that are going on. The top three things being the Western United States water issues, waters of the United States, and what happened in Maui County, Hawaii. Not to mention, we also get into talking about Sackett versus the EPA that comes up in October that we've just covered. For our safety this week, we're gonna jump back and have a discussion with Brian Snelton, National Groundwater Association President, and he's gonna talk to us about equipment maintenance, equipment walkthroughs, and the importance of having that safety culture of effectively checking out all of our equipment and understanding how that's going to impact our bottom line, but more importantly, impact what could happen to us on the job site. I hope you enjoy this episode. What is your big safety message, or what is one thing that you drive home as much as you possibly can to the men and women of your staff and the industry?
Great question. Here at Lane, we take safety very, very seriously because we do a lot of work, for big industry, the mining industry, irrigation stuff, and municipalities. So our safety rating is our lifeblood. So we protect that very seriously. One of the initiatives that Lane has started here over the last few years is a rig inspection SOP. And that includes every day, all of our operators go through a daily checklist on all of their equipment. And that's their daily inspection. We do that before we even start work. First thing in the morning, we check shivs, we check wire ropes, we check hydraulics, we check everything that is on we have a standard list. And that's done on a daily basis. That is first thing that's done. Your timesheet isn't approved unless that is part of your package at the end of the day. And then we do a monthly inspection on all of our rigs. And that monthly inspection is a little bit of a deeper dive. And that's done by some of our mechanics and our trained operators. So, the daily inspection might take a half hour. The monthly inspection might take about 4 hours to do. And then we do quarterly inspections, and then we do a full annual inspection with a third party. So our equipment is the most important thing. If you have safe working equipment, you have safe people going home at the end of the day the way they came there. So we've invested a lot of time, effort, and money into doing that. So we've shown our employees that we care about them and want them to be safe. And we've given them that safe zone to say, hey, something isn't right here. Let's take a time out. Let's talk about it. If this equipment isn't safe, either we're going to send the mechanic out and we're going to get it fixed right now, or we're going to red tag that piece of equipment and until it's fixed, and we'll move on. So from a project management standpoint, sometimes it's a little difficult because it slows my project down, or it may delay another project. But if we've got a piece of equipment out there that isn't safe and we hurt somebody or kill somebody, well, now we're taking money away in the future from doing work with some of our clients. So our clients understand that, our people understand that, upper management understands that and drives it. So it comes from the top all the way down from management that this is important, this will be done, this is how we are going to make the industry better. So we view ourselves as a leader when it comes to the safety aspect of it. We had a couple people hired recently, and I every time we hire somebody new, especially in our field, I sit down with them and I explain that process to them, and I tell them that this is very important to us. and that it takes some time to do this. And we understand that. You're getting paid by the hour, do it. And I had one new employee say to me, he goes, well, wow, I've never worked for a company that has said that before. I was hired and they threw me out on the rig the first day and I had no idea what was going on. And he's like, you're not even letting me go out in the field for at least 3 or 4 days. And you're making me go through all these safety training things. He's like, you guys really care about this. And I said, yeah, this is who we are. And, yeah, it's going to be different than our competitors, but we want you to feel safe here when you work here. We want you to know that we care about you and your family. I definitely don't want to make that phone call to a spouse to say somebody isn't coming home today. That's my biggest fear. So, when I go out on job sites, I talk safety. When I get there, I ask them about the equipment. I ask them about the job. I encourage them to tell me what they like, what they don't like, because we have to get that conversation going. And in this industry, there's a lot of us that, when I grew up, working for my dad, there was times, he didn't wear a hard hat, or, he worked with your shirt off because it was hot out. Things we didn't do back then that we do differently now. And I think that is helping push the industry forward. I would like to see a lot of our contractors start doing some of this stuff. There's a lot of tools through different organizations, NDA, NGWA, you name it. Any of the organizations that are out there have checklists and things to do for safety on their equipment and their people. Going into well pits, without an air monitor. I can't tell you how many times I did it when I worked for my dad, and I look back at it and go, oh my God, what was I doing? So, as you learn about this stuff, as we educate our industry about safety, we'll make it a better industry and a safer industry. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for us is safety. And I love that your newscasts always start with a safety moment. I think, that example is great, and I appreciate that you do that, that we talk about safety now, and it should be every job, every day, every morning. It's a 5-minute discussion. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. You don't have to have a bunch of documents to do it, but take the 5 minutes in the morning to discuss what you're going to do, what you're going to need. And if something totally changes on a job site, take a 5-minute break, get some water, hydrate. It's hot out. While you're having that water break, say, hey, something's changed here. Did we think about this when we loaded this morning? No, we didn't. Maybe we should call the office and get something else out here. Or maybe we need another person to do this job, and let's do that. So we need to be talking about safety a lot more than what we do in this industry. So I'm happy to work for a company that takes that very seriously. I know I do. So I know I'm at the right place because safety is number one for us.
I couldn't agree more. It's we do need to become a better safety. We can always do better at safety. There's innovations. There's like you said, from the NGWA to the NDA to IADC. There's plenty of organizations out there. There's things that OSHA pushes out often that I think we could do a better job of just talking about. And I love that. I love the idea that we take 30 minutes to go through our equipment and make sure there's not anything abnormal, because let's face it, we're an industry that the solution usually is let's get a bigger hammer. And, we're crushing and rotating and pulling and pushing, and equipment really wasn't designed to be invincible for what we're trying to ask it to do.
Well, when you think about it too, especially our drilling rigs, the amount of stresses that those drilling rigs go through, the vibrations, the torques, all the different things, the hydraulics, the pulling, the pushing, all of those stresses, eventually something breaks. And I've said that to clients sometimes on job sites. If we had a breakdown or something, I go, with drilling equipment, there's one guarantee, and that something will break eventually. So, but if we do a good job of maintenance and inspecting these things, hopefully we reduce those on-site breakdowns so that, we're not leaving an oil puddle or a sheen on the ground when our drill rig leaves, because we maintain our equipment. And I know it takes time, and I know it takes money, and we're always chasing that next job before a competitor takes it or something like that. But we really do need to take that time to maintain our equipment. One, it'll last longer. We're going to protect our people. And when you pull up on a job site and somebody says, well, your price is higher than the other guy, but I've got nice, well-maintained equipment, that explains why, because I care about my people. I care about the industry, and there's a price for that. And we have to understand that.
There is, and it drives right back into being, good at safety, good at leadership, good at business. And, there'll always be another job, but,
Yep.
Somebody being catastrophically hurt or worse and having that in the back of your head for the rest of your life is not worth it to rush to the next job. But, we are an industry that, like you started this whole entire conversation, we are reactive.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, excellent. Thanks, Brian, for contacting me and getting this ball rolling to come on. I was very excited when we talked, and I knew we could just have a driller to driller conversation on this industry. It is really awesome to hear your passion and everything you're driving. And we're all going to be excited to cheer for you at NGWA and toast your, past president position and all of that.
Well, thanks, Brock. I appreciate that. Again, there's a lot of great people that work at volunteer on that board that do a lot of things that, make the presidents look good and whatnot. So I have to acknowledge our board, which is amazing. The staff there, that's amazing. A lot of other people that do things that help me do those things. So I appreciate the kind words, and I'm very excited to be on this. That's why I reached out. I've listened to all of your newscasts, and what you're doing for the industry with this is amazing stuff. You're touching topics that need to be talked about and putting it out there in easy bites to listen to through the podcast while you're coming to or from a job site, or while you're on a break or something like that, or at night while you're just sitting at home. So I want to thank you for what you're doing for the industry, because I think it's amazing, and I hope you continue to do that.
Hi, this is Brock Yordy. We are live at the 2022 Drilling Jubilee, and we are in the TDH booth, who is the folks that are bringing you the newscast for the month of August, and a fantastic innovator to the pump hoist and servicing industry. And you need to be seeing all the cool things that Cade, Scott, and Blake are bringing to you. And right now we have Cade, and he's going to talk to us about this piece of equipment right here. What do we got?
Hey guys, here at the show today we've got our 6X2 model, which is a 6-ton hoist. It'll pull 6,000 pounds single line. You can two-part it to 12,000 pounds. But we've got pretty much a decked out unit here. Every option we can basically put on one we've got. So we've got hydraulic pipe racks, we've got weight load indicators, so it tells you in pounds what you're pulling. You've got speed control on your winches, all variable speed, has a wireless remote that basically controls everything on the hoist, so you can go out by yourself and pull a pump inside of a building without having to be anybody with you. It's got the wire winder set up that spools wire for you. It's got a hydraulic generator, so you can power a 5-horse if you need to. It's also got the hybrid system. The hybrid system is very cool. It's probably one of our newest innovations. It's been out a couple years now, but we're doing about 40% of our hoists with the hybrid system. So what it allows you to do is operate the pump hoist without the truck even having to be on. It's got a backup PTO to it, so you can switch back and forth if you need to. Right here with this button, it's that simple. So you're never stranded. You know, guys are charging once or twice a week is all. Charges in about 4 hours, but this allows you to basically go out, pull a pump without the truck ever having to be on, no more DEF issues, no more fuel issues, no more exhaust in your face, and you know, we can sit here and have a conversation while we pull a pump. So it's very impressive, especially to customers. It's been a really big factor in TDH and moving forward.
Hi, this is Brock Yordy. We are live at the 2022 South Atlantic Drilling Jubilee, and I have an excellent expert guest with us, Jesse Richardson of the Water System Council, who is the lawyer. Go ahead and describe your role with Water System Council.
Yeah, I'm their legal advisor, and I keep up with all the policy issues around the country surrounding water wells, and we occasionally file friend of court briefs in courts around the country, including the United States Supreme Court, and just try to defend the water well industry.
And we are 4 months from the National Groundwater Conference, where we as a community will all be back together. And there is a lot happening in our groundwater industry right now, between right now and before we'll all get together in December and we're trying to wrap up the year. What's exciting that's happening, or what's scary in the legal system right now for water?
Well, I basically have a big three right now, kind of like This Is Us. And my big three is, number one, waters of the United States. We both have, number one, every time a new presidential administration comes in, they change the regulations that define what waters of the United States are. And why do we care? What that is, under the Clean Water Act, the EPA and the Corps of Engineers have authority to regulate discharges to waters of the United States. So if groundwater is a water of the United States, conceivably, well contractors could have to get a permit from the federal government to drill a well. So we've got conflicting definitions from the regulatory agencies, and now really exciting, and I know you're aware of this, the United States Supreme Court recently decided that they're going to hear the Sackett case, which is spot on to how do we figure out what is a water of the United States. So we're expecting that that's going to be heard, oral arguments in October or November, and then in early 2023 we should have a decision of some type. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, and it's related to that, there was a decision about 2 years ago in Maui County that said if in certain circumstances you put a contaminant into the ground, or it seeps into the ground, it could be a septic tank, could be anything, and it goes through the groundwater into a navigable water, you might have to get a permit. And the United States Supreme Court gave us a very confusing test on that, and now the lower courts are trying to figure out what that means. And again, we had the Trump EPA give some guidance. President Biden's EPA has revoked that and is coming up with some of their own that we're waiting for. Now, the third of my big three is the drought in the West. And so we got a lot going on, but biggest drought in 1,200 years. The Colorado River is dry. We're cutting back water that we're giving to Arizona and California and other states. The California governor just issued a sweeping executive order to make sure that water wells that are drilled now are not going to interfere with other wells and are going to be sustainable. Arizona, we're looking at probably new regulation in Arizona. So those are really the big three things that are happening, and it's moving fast, and we might know some things by December, but more likely early 2023.
What's really important about these big three is the fact that 15% of our voting population, about 2.3 million private wells in the United States. Everybody else is on municipal water, and there's big pushes for municipal water and the control of municipal water and to bring in pipelines. And we are a proud industry that is installing water wells and doing geothermal and doing big things throughout our country. But if we're not talking to our representatives, we're not hearing what's going on in our local areas, and then we're not getting that back to the Water System Council so Jesse's aware, so that we're on top of things, that the National Groundwater Association's aware, our state associations are aware. Suddenly we have people that don't have private water wells and groundwater's best interests at heart making decisions.
Yeah, so keep up with this, and if you see something in your local area, let your state association know, let us know at Water Systems Council, and we will do the best we can to try to help the industry have a voice.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And this wraps episode 23 of the Driller Newscast, brought to you by TDH Manufacturing. If you're listening to this right now on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, jump back and check out the video feature of this with Cade from Team TDH walking everybody through that great hybrid pump hoist and all of the innovations. Team TDH are drillers and pump installers, and then they decided to become manufacturers because they knew what innovations our industry needed and how to help us do our job better, help us be more profitable and be more efficient. Thank you, Team TDH. Huge thank you to Jesse Richardson for stopping by the booth and for being that legal advocate for us. You know, the Water Systems Council is doing a lot of great things, and you'll see some other interviews from the Jubilee in the weeks to come, and we'll have Margaret Martins on talking about groundwater trust. And we just need to know that we need to be part of their survey for the state of the groundwater industry 2023, so we can show the world how important we are. Like I've said many times, only 15% of the voting population has private water wells. And when we look at what Jesse just talked about with the waters of the United States, Maui County, Sackett versus the EPA, and what's happening with California and Arizona and the Colorado Compact, it's a big deal. And as always, it's great to bring back some content that we hadn't heard from Brian Snelton on being safe, and as NGWA president, he advocates that, but as a leader at Lane, he advocates for that, and that culture is very important to us, and we should all be adopting a good, thorough, walking around our equipment, looking for the unknowns, looking for any damage, and understanding that's a great way to start our day so that we know we're being safe when we operate. Get down to the South Atlantic Drilling Jubilee if you've never been before. It's a great conference. It's family friendly. My son rode a camel. My daughter got to play with a petting zoo. We need two conferences. We need that ability to come together in the summer, punch the brakes, see all the legislation, see all the things that are happening, take some CEUs on. We talked solids control. We talked safety. We talked legislation that's happening, the history of wells. There was some geology stuff that went on. There was great innovations in pumps and how we can do better. These are all the things that are happening. And then we're primed to work those next 3.5 months before we get back and we're in the National Groundwater Association all together and we can share again. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun being down here. Cheers.